Hi, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. So for those of you joining us for the first time, I wanted to share that I've decided we're going to go through the 7 main chakras, and I'm going to spend about a month on each. We may spend a little bit more time on the root chakra, the first one, because I feel like we're really needing that sense of stability and grounding right now. And just to remind you, chakras are based in the energetic system of yoga, and they're concentrations of energy. But they're also really kind of non-local. It's kind of an interesting phenomena that's hard to describe to the Western mind. So we'll keep delving into what is a chakra each time. And I wanted to let you know that I actually realized I had a great book that I think will be useful, and if anybody wants to get it, I'm going to probably reference it a lot. You don't need to get it. This is not a class. This is an experiential thing, but it's called Eastern Body, Western Mind, Psychology and the Chakra System as a Path to the Self. And it's by Anodea, Anodea Judith. And if you don't have a pen, I can put that in the chat box at the end of the meditation. The other reference that I'm using today is a book called Homecoming by John Bradshaw. That has a lot to do with inner child work, and you'll see how I kind of weave it into the meditation today. So why don't you get settled and find a comfortable position. Either lying down or sitting up is fine. If you're particularly sleepy, you may want to even stand for a while. So find your comfy spot. And for those of you that are new, I would recommend, if possible, if you're comfortable and you feel safe today, with allowing your eyes to close, or looking at something neutral. You know, maybe if you're by a window, looking out the window rather than looking at the computer screen. So if you want to go back and watch it later, that's fine. But what I would really recommend is allowing yourself to go inward. Now, the exception to that, as I've said before, is there are some people, some of us who have had trauma, or, you know, life difficulties or stressors, if you don't like the word trauma, and it can feel more grounding or safe to see a human face. And so if you're in that place of like pretty high fear and anxiety, and it helps just to look at a face while you're meditating, that's fine. So above all, as always, trust your own inner guide, your own inner teacher, otherwise known as intuition. And yeah, more and more, you'll learn to trust that inner voice. So let's get settled. And if you're sitting in a chair or on the floor, find an upright posture, not rigid, but upright. If your feet are on the floor, I would recommend having them uncrossed. And imagining that there is a string right up here at the crown of your head. And the string is just pulling straight upwards from the crown, which creates like this elongation in the spine. And it also creates a little bit of a chin tuck, if that's comfortable for your neck. It's not a strong chin tuck, it's just a relaxed elongation of the spine. We're going to start today with a form of pranayama, or breathing exercise from yoga. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand and you're going to bend down your middle finger and your first finger. So you can look at the screen if you want. So you can see my ring finger, my pinky finger, and my thumb are still up. And you're going to use this to do alternate nostril breathing, okay? So we want to start alternate nostril breathing with the in-breath on the left side. So to do that, we're just going to practice a little bit with this alternating finger movement. So you're going to plug your right nostril with your thumb, and you're going to breathe in through your left side. Then you're going to plug both sides, and then you're going to breathe out through your right completely. And this whole time while you're doing this, I want you to imagine that your breath is going right down into your root, okay? So right down into the perineal area, the pelvic area, into the sex organs, into the bottom of your spine, the sacrum, your sits bones, that whole area. The breath is going right down there. And so when you breathe in, the belly should be expanding. And when you breathe out, the belly should be contracting. And if that's new information to you and it's tricky, you might lay down. It's easier to feel the breath expansion with the in-breath, and then the belly and the navel will go back towards your spine on the out breath. A lot of people are breathing opposite of that and very up in their shoulders, but we want to start breathing down into the belly by using your diaphragm. So this is diaphragmatic breathing. That's how we're going to start. So bend your first finger and your middle finger. So you've got your hand mudra, your hand formation, and plug that right nostril. And what we're going to do is we're going to do, if you don't have any breathing issues, so you don't have COPD or asthma or any other breathing problems, what we're going to do is we're going to do in for 4, and then we're going to do hold for 4, out for 4, and then after the out breath, you're going to do hold for 4. So it's like, some people will refer to this as square breathing. It's another way. I've taught you the 1 to 2 breathing, many of you, where you breathe in for a count of 4, you breathe out for a count of 8. So this is just another breathing exercise that can calm the nervous system. So it's 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay, so in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. All right, and we're going to do it with alternate nostril breathing. If you're overwhelmed and you're like, I have no idea what she's talking about, just don't do the alternate nostril breathing and just do the in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And I'll walk you through it. I'll count you through it for several breath cycles, and then you can settle into your own rhythm, and we'll do it for a little while in your own mind. And anytime I teach something new like this, don't worry, you can always watch the video later if it's confusing. And I often, almost always, come back to something and reteach it again in a different way. So don't worry if this is a little overwhelming or too much information right now. You don't have to get it all at once. Okay. And my computer is doing weird things for some unknown reason.
Sarah, everything looks fine on my end.
Okay, I'm just going to ignore what my computer's doing then. It's showing me all my email for some unknown reason and I can't figure out how to make it go away. All right, so what I want you to do then, all right, I'm going to fix this. There we go. Okay, so bend the middle and pointer fingers and start with your thumb closing your right nostril. Okay, so it's called alternate nostril breathing. It can be very calming. You can take your elbow and hold it up with your other arm. If you have breathing issues, just don't do the breath holds. Okay, so skip the breath holds. Just do in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4. Or if the breath hold is uncomfortable, then just cut that part out and don't do the breath holds. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in and out, just a normal deep breath in. And you can watch me for the first few rounds to get a grasp on what we're doing. Out breath and in through the left nostril. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the left. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. In through the right. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out through the left. 2, 3, 4. And now count on your own. If it gets confusing, after the out breath, you don't have to close both nostrils. That way you'll remember which side you're on. You may have one nostril that's more plugged than the other. That's really normal. It varies by time of day. If you can, close your eyes if that's comfortable, or gaze downward. The next time you breathe out through your right nostril, allow your hands to rest. Put your hands in your lap and just breathe normally. Eyes downward. Or eyes closed. Just tuning into the after effects of that breathing exercise. Continuing to breathe down into the root, down into the belly. Imagining that you can feel your breath going all the way down to the tip of your spine. All the way down to your tailbone. And then begin to imagine a reddish brown light at the bottom of the spine around the tailbone. And imagine that this reddish brown light starts to coalesce into what appears to be a root, like a tree root. And imagine that as you're breathing in, you're receiving sustenance from the root, and as you breathe out, the root burrows deeper and deeper into the earth. So in breath, you're receiving nutrients, you're receiving nourishment and groundedness, and all that the earth element has to provide in terms of stability, safety. Really connecting to Mother Earth and her nurturing qualities. On the in-breath, receiving sustenance, and on the out-breath, the root grows deeper and deeper, more solidly connecting to the earth. You might even visualize the root going through the different layers of the earth's crust, through different soils and sediments and rock, through aquifers, various types of water, limestone, burrowing deeper and deeper into the earth. And much like a tree who has very deep roots, there's almost this upward pull and upward stability that comes with a deep, deep, well-branched root. So imagine that you are rooted into the earth and that the energy of the stars is pulling the crown of your head upward. So the body is kind of like an energetic antenna, an energetic channel. From the ethereal, spiritual realms, grounded and stable in the earth. And just like with any other meditation, when the mind wanders, when there are thoughts, when there are body sensations, we simply take note or aware of these passing phenomena. And we don't need to get upset about thoughts or mind distractions. Those of you who've sat with me before know that I really emphasize that if we start fighting with our mind, it's kind of a losing battle. So instead of fighting with your mind, if it's having a busy day, we just accept the fact that this is how it is today. Instead of this idea that there are good and bad meditations, we're getting away from the idea of this is a good or bad meditation. Instead, trying to recognize this is just how it is today. This is how this meditation is today. And now tuning into the energy of this first chakra and imagining that it's rotating. The sphere of reddish brown light is rotating on an axis that, and this is a visualization, this is an imagination, this is not, exact science. Imagine there's an axis running from the crown of your head to the bottom of your spine. Okay, so an upward pull, if you will. You can, the spinal cord is what we're going to use as the axis. And then imagine that this sphere, this reddish brown sphere of energy at your root is spinning clockwise. Okay. So if a point on the sphere was starting at your left hip, it would travel around towards the front of your navel, then to the right hip, then to the back. And you can sort of get a sense of this rotation by just kind of like very, very, very gently rotating, if this is comfortable for your body today, just rotating around on that axis. So you're moving your upper body in a clockwise direction. I often get confused about clockwise and counterclockwise. So if you're starting at your left hip, then you're leaning forward ever so slightly. Then you're leaning towards your right hip. Then you're leaning back ever so slightly. Then your left hip. Then forward, right hip, back, left hip. So just make that subtle circular pattern with your body just to get a sense of the clockwise movement. And you can keep doing that subtle movement, or you can be still in your body and just imagine the feel of that movement. Either one is fine. So tune into that spiral, circular movement. Focus on that and the breath. And I'm going to share some information with you. And instead of listening to it like you would a lecture, rather just allow the words to fall on your ears. You don't need to take it all in. You can always come back to this and watch it for the informational quality. But for right now, I don't want you to listen to it as a lecture. You're still meditating. You're still, and what I mean by that is you're still very tuned into your own body and this rotation, this clockwise rotation that is sourcing itself at the root in this reddish brown sphere at the root chakra. First chakra, the body, foundation, survival, roots, grounding, nourishment, trust, health, home, family, prosperity. All foundations rest upon the earth, the universal ground for all that we do. Still connected to that. If you get disconnected from that rotational quality, that energetic clockwise movement, you can just allow your body to start to move very subtly again. And you're moving from your base. The movement is coming from your base, from your sacrum. To connect with the body is to connect with the earth, to be grounded in the biological reality of existence. Body is home of spirit. At the base of the spine, the first chakra is the foundation for the entire chakra system. Here we build the foundation for the temple of the body, the anchor for the rainbow bridge. Without a strong rooted foundation, little else can be accomplished. We must have soil firm enough to provide stability, yet yielding enough to be penetrated by roots. The anchoring of this temple digs deep into the earth, for its Sanskrit name, Muladhara, means root support. The foundation contains the temple's energy by defining its scope, edges, and boundaries. It defines a place as a basic context of all that happens to us. It gives us a ground, a home, an anchor point for our experience. The foundation largely determines the shape of the structure above, determining what it can hold, how high it can build, and what kind of stresses it can withstand. Thus, damage to this chakra is reflected in each and every chakra above. Tune into that clockwise energy. Breathing into the red-brown chakra. Connecting with first main energy center. To build a strong foundation is to gain solidity. Solidity allows us to be firm and make boundaries. Solidity has consistency, repetition, accountability. Our bodies are the solid form of our existence. They have definable boundaries. To be solid is to face what is in front of us without flinching, to remain anchored in truth in the face of opposition, and to remain calm and secure. The survival instincts lie in this chakra. And although fear is the demon of the first chakra, it is also a sacred adversary, a presence that has much to teach us. Fear exists as an ally of self-preservation, teaching us of our own importance and the need to take care of ourselves. Only when we acknowledge this demon as an ally can it truly be mastered. The mighty oak was once a little nut that stood its ground. To understand the first chakra, we need to go back to the developmental formation, which occurs from the womb until 12 months old. During this very crucial time, our family determines how we find our ground, how we form our territory. If we didn't have plenty of touching and holding, we may feel unsure of ourselves emotionally, of the ground we stand on, since we cannot trust others to hold us. People who are not held enough have a fear of falling and hold themselves stiffly away from the earth. The task at this time is to help the child come fully into her body, develop a sense of trust in her caretakers, and a sense of safety about the world around her. So now we're going to do a healing for the first chakra. Many of us have experienced neglect or trauma or difficulty in those very early stages of life. These are pre-verbal times, so we don't remember it, but it's held in our body and it's held in the first chakra, among other places. And so if you've ever felt what feels like a very illogical terror, maybe if you felt like someone was leaving you, maybe you've struggled with fears of abandonment throughout your life, maybe it's hard to be alone. These are all first chakra wounds. And oftentimes they happen very young. So it can be very hard to access through a typical cognitive behavioral model of psychology. It just doesn't work in my experience. But with myself and with clients, I've been able to help people heal these very early wounds. And so I'm going to guide you through something that I do with clients, that I've done with myself. And if at any point you find yourself feeling overwhelmed or triggered, I would invite you to open your eyes, feel your feet, feel your hands, feel your butt. And if you're feeling really triggered, just turn this off and come back to it later, or seek out the help of a therapist. You can contact me through Misty if you have questions or concerns. So this is not going to be re-traumatizing. It's a healing meditation, but everyone is different. And so I really want you to trust any inner warning signals, and follow those. So first, we're going to get very grounded again. We're going to get very established in our adult selves today. What I mean by that is you're going to be like the grandmother or the grandfather or the mother or the father, your own best mother, your own best father. We're creating our own best parent. Most people, when they have children, they have lots of wounds themselves. And so we tend to pass along whatever wounds we've not healed ourselves. We pass it along somehow to our children. And that's just how it works. It's not a way of blaming our parents or blaming ourselves if we have made mistakes. Every parent makes mistakes. That's just how it is. But we can go back and we can heal these early childhood wounds energetically. So reestablish that visual of your root coming out of the bottom of your spine, and imagine yourself to be an old grandmother, grandfather tree, maybe one of the redwoods, one of these massive, solid, stable trees. absolutely connected and grounded and nourished by the earth, reaching towards the stars in perfect alignment, imagining what that would feel like, really calling on your power of imagination. And then from this place of being sturdy and nurturing and loving, like a grandmother or grandfather tree, I want you to imagine a baby. Maybe this baby is your grandchild, or maybe it's your child. Maybe you could relate more easily to the idea of a kitten or a puppy. Or maybe this baby is you, yourself, your own inner child, your own inner baby, that part of you that holds those memories. In any case, just follow what's easiest, what feels easiest. And I want you to pick up the baby. I'm just going to say baby, and you can remember that that's either you or a child or grandchild or niece or nephew. Or if you've never held a baby, then just imagine what holding a baby would feel like, or holding a kitten or a puppy. And I want you to really hold the baby close to your chest. So you've got the head, and you're supporting the head, and you've got your other hand underneath the little bottom, and you're just like following the intuition of your body. Maybe you're rocking a little bit, maybe you're going back and forth. You are the wise grandmother or grandfather. You are the wise mother or father. And you are just loving this baby. So maybe you have a memory of loving a baby. It may be hard to access if you have sadness or fears or guilt about being a parent. And I would really encourage you to just acknowledge those and recognize that no matter what, we're all just trying our best with whatever circumstances we have at the moment. And that this, if that's the case for you and you feel a resistance to it, that there's probably an energetic or psychological reason for it. But just see if you can imagine holding the baby. You might want to pat the baby's back. You might want to rub their head. You can kind of sense what the baby wants and imagine the smell of the baby. Babies have a certain smell. And imagine the form of the baby, and imagine that you want this baby to feel safe. You want it to feel supported and held. And imagine that when you first picked the baby up, you could feel its little body as tense. It wasn't quite sure if it could trust you. Maybe it was crying. Maybe it was scared. But I want you to imagine now that you could feel that baby sigh. So it takes in a deep breath and it breathes out. And you can feel that little body relax because it knows it's being held by you. It feels safe. And maybe the baby, maybe your baby in this moment, maybe you sense that it doesn't feel safe. And so I want you just to keep on, maybe you're humming to the baby, maybe you're singing a lullaby. And in your mind's eye, I want you to say the following things to your baby. And if you can, if it's not too difficult, try to imagine that this baby is the inner part of you that holds all the memories from this time in your life, and you're speaking to it now. I want you to say to your baby in your mind, you can say it out loud if you want as well, whichever you're most comfortable with. Welcome to the world. I've been waiting for you. I'm so glad you're here. I've prepared a special place for you to live. I like you just the way you are. I will never leave you, no matter what. Your needs are okay with me, and I can handle it. I'll give you all the time you need to get your needs met. I'm so glad that you are you. I want to take care of you, and I'm prepared to do that. I love feeding you and bathing you and changing you and spending time with you. In all the universe, there has never been another like you. The universe smiled when you were born. And feeling how the baby responds to those statements that you've just lovingly said to it. And you can practice this anytime you want. If this exercise felt resonant for you, if it triggered an emotional response, it probably means you're onto something. And like I said, we don't really remember in a linear way what happened to us when we were real little like this, but we still carry around the energy of it. And some of the signs can be struggling with fears of abandonment and those of us that have this kind of early childhood trauma, it can be very difficult to be alone. And I know for myself and others that I work with that deal with this early trauma, this time especially with difficulty connecting to others and the challenges that COVID has placed on different attachments, these very basic survival fears, these wounds that got created in infancy sometimes can be very big and loud right now. And it can feel like very big anxiety and it can feel like terror for some people. And if that's true for you, I would strongly encourage that you use this visualization. And if it's too scary to do on your own, if this felt too scary, I would strongly encourage you to seek out the help of a therapist, somebody who knows about inner child work. And you can either work with me, or if that's not resonant, I can help you find someone to work with. So give that baby a nice squeeze, hold it really tight, maybe put your arms around yourself, maybe rock back and forth a little bit, going a little bit over. So if you have to be somewhere, it's about 12:52. I'm just going to continue for those of you who can stay. So arms around you, rocking back and forth. And then we're just going to do a brief self-healing toning exercise. So put your hands under your armpits. So your arms are crossed, hands under your armpits. So you're going to really feel the vibration in your chest and in your fingertips. And we're going to use the Sanskrit mantra, satanama. Okay, so you're going to breathe in and do this together. Breathing in, satanama. Feel the vibration in your fingertips and in your chest wall. Satanama. One more time. Satanama. May the fruits of our practice today spread outwards in all directions, helping to end the suffering of all beings everywhere. And for those of you that can stay a little bit longer, I have a poem to read to you. So just allow your eyes to be closed and listen. It's about 12:54. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and you can replace the word God with love or the universe or whatever works for you. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel unsure around you. You were born to make manifest in the glory of the universe that is within us, the glory of the divine that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. That is from President Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech in 1994. So, as you come back, just be real gentle. Take a few deep breaths. I can go a little bit past 1 today if there are questions. And again, for those of you that are interested in more of this energetic transformational healing, I do that in a one-on-one setting with my clients. And so I'd be happy to talk with you about that if you're interested. You can just contact Misty. through replying to her email. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can just type them into the Q&A. Okay. What does satanama mean? That's a really good question, Mary. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. It's a mantra I learned a long time ago. Can look it up right now, actually, since there are no. Okay, I'll answer Michael's question first, and then I'll come back
I was
to.
gonna say, do you want to answer Michael's question? You want to type that in so everybody can see that?
Oh, sure, yeah. I'll answer the book question. I can figure out how to do that. There we go. How do I?
Did you click the thing that says type answer?
Oh, there we go. I'm going to I'm going to respond to Mitchell instead of Michael because somehow I deleted the potential for answering Michael's question. So I'm answering your question, Michael. So Eastern body, Western mind.
And then just make sure you share it publicly.
Psychology and the, you guys get to see how slow of a typist I am, and the chakra system as a path to the self. Okay, so that's the first one. And then the second one is called and I'm not seeing where I can type it in now, Misty. Are you able to type it in, Misty?
I might. Now you're going to see how badly I type. Okay. What is it called?
It's called Homecoming.
Oh. Is it one word or two?
I don't know whether it looks like on the book, it looks like 2 words, but
okay.
And then it's by John, John Bradshaw.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. And then by John John.
Yeah, actually Michael was nice enough to give me another prompt, so now I can put it in.
Okay.
So I'm doing it. Okay, so there's the second book coming through now. Can everybody see that? If you can't, let me know. Homecoming by John Bradshaw. You're welcome. Okay, let's see. And so back to the satanama question. Let me look that up. I used to know what it means. Okay. Satanama mantra, meaning and benefits. It is thought to be the most fundamental mantra used in Kundalini yoga. This mantra is intended to help one realize their true divine nature and uses visualization methods to activate the higher chakras. Sa means infinity, the totality of the cosmos. Ta means life, birth of form from the infinity. Na means death or transformation, and Ma means rebirth. So it incorporates a whole lot in 4 little tiny words. That's the beauty of Sanskrit. So you move from the infinity and the totality of the cosmos, and then we're born into form. So we're born into our human forms from the infinity. And then Na means death or transformation, and then Ma means rebirth. So it's the cycle of life. All right, moving on to the next question. Amy says, I have trouble with arthritis in my hand, so the positioning of the fingers with the alternate nostril breathing was difficult for me. Alternative positioning. So these mudras do have energetic implications, but I would say that if it's causing pain, then don't do it, So then, just, yeah, if you were using your thumb and your index and that felt comfortable and not painful, then absolutely you can do that. And actually, if for people who don't have use of their hands, even, you can still do alternate nostril breathing by doing it on the subtle level and just imagining the breath coming in through the left nostril, or people who have shoulder problems so it hurts to do that. You can imagine the breath coming in the left nostril and then going out the right nostril, coming in the right and going out the left. And again, you want to start on the left and end on the right. So you want to start the whole cycle on the left side and you want to end on the right side. And I'm not going to get into why that is today. It's somewhat complex. Let's see. You mentioned a fear of falling would be an indicator of root chakra issues from early childhood. Would this translate to an irrational fear of heights? I mean, it could, but not necessarily. I think the fear of heights can come from many, many different reasons. And yeah, I think what the book was trying to convey is that if you weren't held enough, there can be this sense of, or, I mean, many people were raised in the age of cry it out, where parents used to think it was the best thing for children to just cry it out. And now we know through attachment parenting that's probably not ideal for creating secure attachments. But many of us, I'm in my 40s, and many of us grew up in the age of Dr. Spock and cry it out. And so it's not about blaming our parents for these things. It's not about creating a villain or a persecutor. It's really about recognizing that no matter what, even if we had very loving parents, and some of us didn't, but even in the best case scenario, every parent makes mistakes. So I don't know, Kristen, if this is the root of your fear of heights, or someone else that you're referencing. I think the thing to do is to go inward and ask. And when we get really still, and this is kind of how I do therapy with people, is when we get really still, I help people get into kind of a meditative state. It's like meditating out loud, kind of. And then we can sense into the body and ask it questions, and the body can reveal answers that the cognitive mind can't always access, because when we're really little, we're not using thoughts to process things, right? We're pre-verbal. So that's why I have found that energetic and somatic, so using the body as a gateway to doing work with trauma, has been far more successful in the last few years since I've switched over to that. Seen people really heal from old wounds and traumas very, very deeply by using body-based methods. Not to say that the cognitive's not important too. Understanding what happened can be very important. But at some point, we really know what our stories are. We know what our wounds are, the ones that we remember anyway. And it can be very helpful to go into the energy of it and the body-based parts of it. And a lot of people who are who've done a lot of trauma work for themselves haven't done the energetic or the body part yet. I feel like it's sometimes one of the last things, and it can create a lot of freedom and a lot of healing. So I hope that was helpful. So it looks like we don't have any other questions, and it's about 7 after 1. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all for this week. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions that you think of later, just direct them to Misty when you get the feedback form. And she can always forward any questions to me via email. So, and then I can email you back. It was great being with you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we hope to see you next week. Get out there and enjoy the beautiful day today. Oh, do we have a question quick pop up?
Yeah. Yep, we did. Today you were talking to those who are afraid of abandonment. I'm the opposite, an extreme introvert who's very bad at making friends and getting close to others. Will you address this? Maybe you teach about the heart chakra. Actually, Alice, it's interesting. This avoidance strategy, so we talk about different attachment types, and we're all trying to heal and move towards secure attachment. But there are different psychologies will use different terms, but you can learn about avoidant attachment type and anxious attachment type. And what they are is they're really just two sides of the same coin. So some of us, for whatever reason, if we, and sometimes it doesn't have to be big trauma, so I'm not trying to suggest that everybody has big trauma. Because when we're babies and we don't get our needs met, if it's relatively consistent, that can result in either one of two things. Either you mistrust the world. So first chakra is all about trust and mistrust. And this is all formulated within the first year or so of life. Can I trust the world, or can I not trust the world? But this is something we can heal, which is why we're doing this. So in your case, it sounds like, I don't know you, so I'm only postulating, obviously, but there was something early on that resulted in a mistrust of the world, right? And it could be the same. It could be the same as somebody who fears abandonment and who holds on tightly to attachments and gets anxious about people leaving. So holding people at a distance and not trusting and not getting close, that's just the other way that people protect themselves. Okay. So it's usually either one or the other, or a mix. Sometimes people have anxious avoidant attachment patterns, and none of it's pejorative. Okay. None of it is like bad. We all have these. There are very few people that, are born and have really ideal parents, because most people in their 20s and 30s, when they have kids, are a mess. Let's face it. I mean, when I had my daughter when I was 29, I still had so much to work through, and I still do, So we all were parented in a not perfect way. And so that's just to say that we all have attachment issues, most of us that we're healing. I've met an occasionally securely attached person who's just been like that forever, but I would definitely say it's rare. So there's nothing bad about being an introvert who struggles with getting close to people. But I do think it's good to understand that it's not because you don't like people, right? I mean, you probably already know that. It's more about a fear of being let down, or a fear. It's about a fear of abandonment. It just presents in a different way. It presents in like keeping people away. And it can really feel like it's not a fear of abandonment or a fear of being disappointed. But usually that is at the root. I'd have to talk more directly with you to find out about what your story is in particular, Alice. Or if you're referencing someone. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. There is a book. What is that book about attachment? Oh, I'm not remembering the name. I'm looking at my bookshelf, seeing if I can see it. I don't see it on my bookshelf right now, but if you Google attachment, actually, I do remember one book about attachment called Hold Me Tight. And I have not read the whole thing, but the parts that I've listened to are very good. And so that would speak, if you feel like you're either somebody who holds people at bay and you have trouble getting close, or if you've struggled with fears of abandonment throughout your life, recommend a therapist first of all, because these issues are very, very hard to work with on your own. And then the book that I would recommend is called Hold Me Tight. Hope that helps. Hope you're all well, and I'll see you next week. Take care.